Hello, and thank you for joining me for Samuel in Springtime. Today is Tuesday, May 11th, and we will be looking at the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 11. In chapter 11, we have the heroic story of King Saul, actually taking his place as a leader, as a king, in uniting in order to save Israel. And the people that he saves are the people of Jabesh Gilead. If you remember from chapter 10, the leader of the Ammonites, Nahash, is gouging out the right eyes of all the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead, and he besieged the city, and they try to make a treaty with him, and he says, "Sure, I'll make a treaty with you. However, I will need to gouge out everyone's eyes and bring disgrace upon Israel." And so they say, "Well, okay, wait 7 days, and we'll get back to you with our answer." And so there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. And Saul's out plowing. I guess he's gone back to his job, and he says, "Why is everyone sad?" And they give him the news about Jabesh Gilead, and he is inspired by the Spirit of God, and he has a moment where he is angry, and the anger of God is kindled in him, and he takes the oxen that he was driving, cuts them into pieces, and sends those pieces all over Israel, and says to the Israelites, "This is what will happen to you if you refuse to come to the aid of Jabesh Gilead in this situation." And so everyone in Israel received these gifts and got the fear of the Lord in them, and were united in their efforts to thwart the Ammonites against the city of Jabesh Gilead. So what happens is, it seems to me when I read it, it is a little bit of a misdirection kind of thing when they say, "Give us 7 days." Then when they get the news from Saul that they would be saved, they decide to tell the Ammonites, "Oh, we're going to surrender to you tomorrow." And it says in the third watch, in the middle of the night, the Israeli army, who is all the people, not the Israeli army, I guess not nowadays, but all the people who had gathered together under this threat that Saul had united them, they kill the Ammonites, and they're saved. The Jabesh Gilead is saved, and everyone celebrates. So there's this big celebration. But before that happens, I guess they find in chapter 12 that there are some folks that are questioning the leadership of Saul at this time. I mean, because if you remember what I said about Samuel, it is an anti-king narrative. We weren't too sure we wanted a king, and here's why. So this is some people were having doubts about Saul, and then other people who were defending Saul thought that they should be put to death. But Saul said, "No, no one shall be put to death this day. For today the Lord has brought deliverance for Israel." So even though I have rivals, people who were against my kingship, I'm not going to put them to death. Today we celebrate. And they had a big celebration. They went to Gilgal, and they had a celebration, and that is where the people, again, this is like the third time they have consecrated Saul as their king. So he is, in this story, he is a great, triumphant, wonderful king. This is the kind of king they were looking for. This is the whole reason they asked Samuel for a king to begin with, so they could be saved from their enemies. And that was his job. And so he delivers on that front. I hope that you will be encouraged by these words today and the interest of this story. Something about this is a leadership lesson about how important it is for a leader to, by hook or by crook, gather the people together for unity. And part of that unity is to, after the battle is won and you're riding high, not to send your rivals or people who are questioning your authority to their death. And that's kind of the grace that Saul offers them as a unifying leader. And I think that's the lesson that we need to take with us. That the warning that they all got that got them together, that's a little brutal. However, the lack of brutality involved in what we did with the people who were questioning his leadership also says that he is about unifying, and that the preciousness of every Israelite was something that he held dear. And so that in those regards, he is a very good king. He won the day, and he also won the people's hearts. So I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful Tuesday. God bless.